Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4 with Black Ice, and of course we're playing as Germany this time. Again, my favorite country to play because it is, for sure in Europe, the main driver of events. A few people commented that they thought the Soviets taking the Balkans the way it did without the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was okay, and that they were being aggressive. Yes, but I don't think they would have done it without the Molotov Pact. Okay, now, OCB84, I'm doing very well, and how are you today? Those that are here on chat may have watched some or all of the announcement video on YouTube about my likes and dislikes of the national focus tree. Now, I totally get also the complaints, because I know more people will watch this than watch the thing that I have up just for a limited amount of time, is that especially now they've changed a lot of it, and it's, I think, much better in Hearts or in Black Ice than in standard game. In the standard game, it's just so much press button, wait 90 days, get result. And I think that's just too simplistic. I get their point that they made, and I see it, that so many people that, I use one of the examples over here, want to get to second Vienna award. Well, what does it take to get here? You know, so if you're kind of thinking this, if you just had events like the old style in the way I built things for Third Reich events, is that you would have starting events that may or may not tell you where you want to end up, and you don't necessarily know what path you need to take to get there. So I totally get the idea that you need to have prerequisites, and you need to be able to give the player a roadmap to get there. That part I totally get. What I don't like, and what I'm a little bit worried with this whole thing is, you know, Arno and I do to one. Hey, Brett, good to see you. And Alex, good to have you here. Is I want to get this war going where February is a little early. I want to sort of a little more into spring. For sure by June, I want to get invading France, and Poland. So those can go happen, not quite simultaneously, but one then the other. So I'm not ready to go with that, but 56 days for alliance with Italy. Now, and again, I'm talking about it, and I know it's may not be the best. Don't know how to put it. I sort of feel like, hey, look at me, but you can't. I've done this great thing, but you can't play it. Is I have made, now it's way out of date. It's not playable with any modern version of Hoi 4, but I did make a version of Third Reich events for Hoi 4. And one of the things I did, and I hope you're interested in, can you look at what focuses your neighboring countries? I will do shortly. Yep. The Air Force, Brett, you did warn me, and I am considering that. I do have, and I'll get back to my point here in a moment, I do have, though a bunch of them I know are out of date, I do have 600 plus fighters not yet deployed to squadrons. Then I have these guys there. There are, those aren't fighters. Some of these are not fighters either. Where are fighters? Fighters would be green here. So I do have some that are maybe a bit out of date, and some more out of date. I don't know why they're not updating to the newer stuff. I just don't have enough 109s. But I developed a series of events dealing with the German-Italian alliance and development of it. And it starts in 1936. Now, the way it's designed is you can't, get it in 1936, an alliance with Mussolini, and start rampaging around the world. You start down the path of doing that. So, alliance with Italy. I would change, the way I would do this is change this to support claims or invasion of Malta. The way I would change this is pursue alliance with Italy or something. I know that we have a limited amount of space, but as you can see here, we can do 2 rows of text, so that you would do that national focus potentially very early, have the national focus be, I don't know, 5-10 days, but that just kicks off an event chain with possible branching out, and possibly and it can be well warned if you want to get out of it, if you decide that it's not the path you want to head down. That's how I would do that. So we're looking at that, and so I'm a little worried about starting the war without some of this development here. And well, I'm a bit tired because I don't. Thank you for donating your blood. Very good. Helps a lot of people. Okay, and it really does. I have a bit of a phobia of needles, and recently I had a bunch of needles stuck in me. So, good for you. Okay, so they're doing naval bombers. Hungary is developing tanks. They're developing the Alpini, the mountain troops. Okay, what is this? Completion 35 days, 21 left. Yes, reduce ahead time penalties or gives research bonuses. Yeah, I guess we probably already had Alpini. Now, of course, basically all Italian infantry divisions, and possibly, had mountain guns as part of their standard complement. That doesn't make all Italian infantry units Alpini or mountain troops, but they all had a certain level of capability, where we talked a little bit about field guns, and somebody did correct me, and I sort of kind of agree with some of the correction. One, I wasn't thinking of the infantry gun that the Japanese use. I don't think the 76 millimeter field gun, or infantry, because we were talking about infantry guns, and I think it was in Hearts of Iron 4, but maybe it was 3 recently, but infantry guns versus field guns, and it's, some of this stuff may be sort of arbitrary because lines do get blurred. The Japanese definitely had what I would call an infantry gun, and he's right about that, and I was just forgetting that. The Soviets' 76 millimeter gun, I would put in a field gun, which is sort of going back to the French 75s of World War I, and what, the British 17-pounder, is it? They're sort of infantry guns, but they're sort of more powerful howitzers. They're right there on the edge. So I'm reluctant to call those infantry guns. I just am. And they also talked about an American 105. Well, I don't think I would make the 105s that I know of right offhand. And I did look up a year or two ago at some of the stuff that I remembered, that I would call a infantry gun. The Americans definitely had a 75 millimeter pack howitzer type thing that was somewhat lower powered for operation in the mountains. And this is sort of how the Italians don't have an infantry gun, but do have a pack howitzer, which is the same thing but different. You know, it fulfills sort of the same role. Hey, Zad, it's good to have you here. How you use them, yes. How you use them is absolutely, and designation, this is sort of the Chieftain, a really great site on tanks. How he goes into the difference between tank destroyers and anti-tank guns, both in self-propelled, and mostly in self-propelled variations, but also in, hey, thanks for following. Huffmanator, oh yes, I remember your name from many posts on YouTube. Self-propelled, but also some of them towed, and some of the American tank destroyers and anti-tank guns are the exact same piece of equipment with different designations, because exactly what you're saying is how they're used, how tactically they were set up in units as either a tank destroyer or an anti-tank gun. An anti-tank gun is basically a whether self-propelled or towed, in the American terms, are sort of spread out among infantry units in small numbers, just as sort of like, oh shit, there's a tank, or a bunch of them, we got to do something, and some gun is better than no gun. Where tank destroyers was sort of a tactical idea of moving a bunch of tanks once, or tank killers, once you have identified an enemy, you know, armor offensive, you move them into block, and it's sort of a tactical, yes, pack howitzers, infantry guns for light infantry. Yes, AZ, and thanks for the post, for the link there, Arno. People can see that on YouTube if they want to type it in themselves. So how they're used is part of the thing. And so Italy, as we can see here, much of its terrain is mountains. Its borders, France. They were definitely worried about the Austrian border. Obviously, World War I with the Austro-Hungarian Empire. World War II, we're talking about the German-Italian alliance here. Early on, Austria was seen as a buffer state from German aggression, so they're most assuredly worried about mountains. So all, you know, Italian infantry units were expected to fight at some point in their career in the mountains without necessarily being a specialist mountain unit. So they all had some mountain guns. Particularly, part of the reason for mountain gun is that it can disassemble and get to awkward positions. Part of it is you want a smaller caliber weapon so that the ammo itself isn't that heavy to move to places. You can get more rounds to awkward, you know, on the backs of whether mules, backs of humans, whatever, to get them to the position and shoot them. So you want smaller rounds, and you try to use, shall we say, precision, hitting your target, to make up for the lack of explosive power. So Italy is always has been doing some level of mountain troops, but that's their focus. And so, yeah, they're sort of an infantry gun, but they're not, in that they're a pack howitzer for the mountains. So a different specialist piece of equipment. And let's go back and see what. Okay, cooperate with automotive manufacturers. Now, I have not finished the book, but I've read the first, I don't know, 2/3 of Iron Arm, looking over here at my bookshelf. And it's on, because mostly when I'm trying to do it, looking at the development of the Italian armored force. Now, before World War II starts, you know, back in 1935, they have some tanks, you know, very light vehicles, operating in the invasion of Abyssinia. So they had armored vehicles, but they're only really starting, I think, around 1940, and I'd have to look this up, really trying to really start to have an armored division. And they realize, and I'm just sort of looking at this French thing, makes me realize how infrastructurally are they set up for automobiles. And they realize that this is a critical deficiency for any armored or motorized force for Italy. And a lot of it comes down to infrastructure for gasoline. They just didn't have... Now, gas stations, if you roll up any sort of motorized military formation, they're going to instantly dry up a gas station from the gas, pouring it into the vehicle. It's just going to happen way too fast. But still, the trucking, train, infrastructure, fuel storage structures in Italy really, really limits their motorization. And they start to, and this is now... The wars started between, when they really start looking at this, between Germany and France, and they only now, it's like, wait, motor vehicles have to come from being a very limited, and it still was very limited, sort of farming, industrial level trucks. I mean, it's there, but very limited. Still, a lot of the farming is done with horsepower, pulling wagons, to get food to the market, or distribution centers, say the train station, to then be shipped around greater distances. Get that, and beyond what's being sort of an elite automobile industry, whether big fancy cars or smaller sports cars. They did have the 1,000-mile race thing going on already in northern Italy, but they really start looking that automobiles have to become more widespread to the populace, and realizing what and why Germany did the Volkswagen is to try to develop that infrastructure. So it isn't so much the actual, gas station or filling station that they're worried about, but that infrastructure of moving, handling large amounts of fuel efficiently, to have particularly an armored division, but any sort of motorized force. And Italy just really, really sucks at doing all that. Hello, IQB. Oh, you're right. It was not. Yeah, and you had no business getting into the war. So, just sort of an interesting look, and something that I'm still very curious about. Okay. Doctrines to the present. What's this? Arno's the one who asked for this. Okay. Okay, so this is looks like a tactical land doctrine improvement thing, which won't do them much good at this point. Okay, curtail colonial autonomy. Okay, good for them. CAS effort, also not very useful for them. Spies everywhere. Okay, I guess that's another purge thing. Or is it, I'm looking to see, or is it that they're trying to put spies everywhere? I don't see that. Oh, here it is. Spies everywhere. Okay, gains. So yeah, it's cutting out spies. Stalin particularly was paranoiac. Okay, secure Iraq. Okay, that's a positive thing for you to do. You want to make sure you have Iraq and the access to oil. Now, Britain's concern, I know we haven't even really played the game, sorry, and I've been talking a lot. I hope it's interesting. Britain's big concern with Iraqi oil. They had, I don't think at the time they hadn't found oil in Kuwait. Obviously that does come and becomes one of the major petro states. Wasn't for the automotive industry in Britain, although that is a consideration, and other possibilities. It was mainly to keep the British fleet oiled, because they used oil burning ships. Still steam, but they burn oil instead of coal. And they wanted it an access that was out and away and sort of in the empire, if you will, so to keep the fleet mobile and moving around. Britain's fleet is designed to be a shorter ranged fleet than the Americans. The Americans designed their fleet not looking at the Atlantic, but looking at the Pacific. They see the defensive nature of Well, yeah, if for some reason we go to war with France or I'm looking at the wrong countries, France or Britain here. Now they almost did in the Civil War with those countries for various reasons. Almost was a bit overstated. It got sort of close. Obviously, in 1812 they were at war with Britain. 1860s they probably would have gone to war, maybe with Britain. Definitely would have gone to war with France, except America was in the middle of a civil war, because that's when France and Britain invade Mexico, and the Monroe Doctrine is no more European expansion into the Americas. That's the primary element of the Monroe Doctrine. And Britain just stays for a while because both these countries are looking to get, they want to control ports, to tax imports and exports out of Mexico to repay loans that Mexico had faltered on. Once Britain gets paid, they're out. France wants to, under Napoleon III, set up an empire and wants to set up a puppet state. Again, America's distracted by its civil war, or I think they would have gone to war with one or both of those nations. So it's, you know, you're looking at all of the 19th century. America is definitely considering going to war with one or both of those nations as a reasonable likelihood. But by the 20th and especially mid-20th century, we've gone through a world war together. It's probably not going to happen, but still, you know, hey, you could have a communist overthrow, and then, you know, the French fleet is aligned with the Soviet fleet and could be a problem. But that's not their real concern. Their real concern is Japan. And although the U.S. does have some islands, particularly Hawaii, because places like Midway and Wake Island are no ability to refuel and support a mobile fleet, and even the very small Guam thing, it really isn't. Guam was acquired to be a coal base for America. That's why it becomes in a direct possession, unlike the Philippines, which is just a protectorate. But they're really looking at operating out here. Now, Britain is looking to be a global fleet, but they're looking at, they've got bases everywhere. They, you know, whether it's the British Raj, South Africa, you know, Australia, wherever it may be, they have the 19th century coal bases, so they can base, and not short range, but medium range operations is what they're based on. And they need a secure oil source to oil up their fleet, and that's why Iraq is important to them. It's total chaos. Parliament's trying to go against the will. Yes, IKB, I think you're right about that. And so I think it's a mess. Yes, I support Brexit because I don't think the Europeans understand what the EU is going to become. It's going to become the United States of Europe. They may go, oh, well, that's a good idea. But it's going to not be a democratic, not necessarily going to be a dictatorial situation, but it's going to be a bureaucratic run system, much more, and it's going to have very little democratic input. And I don't, some of the Europeans would be very good with that, I think, but I don't think the Britons would. And so, but I would have, you know, I wouldn't, you know, if they voted Remain, it would have been, okay, that's it, fine. But as, you know, saying it's going against the democratic will of the people, and just get the hell out. And I posted the other day to something, just get out now. And if things go really bad in 3 or 4 years, probably the EU would like it that Britain crawls back and please, please, please let us back in, and they probably go, okay. But, hey, Tippett. So now let's get back to playing after talking about, and it was Arno who made me look at, oh, we didn't look at, expand the University of Ljubljana. Anything that's going to help us? Probably not. When we take it over. Yeah, you guys brought up Brexit. I didn't. Okay, Panzer IV medium armor research. Very good. Okay. Now, we're already in February. I do think they need to shorten the like establish the Gestapo 28 days. I think they need to change that. 56 days. Alliance with Italy. Now, yeah, I could have made different choices here. Obviously, I could have done that day one, but these always attract me. Getting the infrastructure going. And I know there were, and this is a slightly older version of Black Ice, just because I want to continue this series and not have to keep restarting as they put out with new things. So they very well may have changed that, but a lot of this stuff was already rocking well before the start of the war. And so either, and yeah, and I totally get the idea that there's choices. You shouldn't be able to do everything, you know. So, and not just do you want to focus on light aircraft or heavy aircraft and make it mutually exclusive between them. Not that you can't build the other, but what's your focus, you know, or your primary thing. Let's see, 21 days. Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact. Okay, well, we need to get that, and then that would still be in February. We want to get that and immediately go to war with Poland. 35 days, 10 days. Irish colonial boon, we don't need that at all. Befriend Japan, 28 days. Deploy Enigma to the Wehrmacht, 60 days. See, oh God, those are... What? You know, yeah, I would have maybe some dates or something that would definitely make it so you just can't go click, 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 click in 6 days. Each one just takes and you just zip through some of those. But I wouldn't have those be a national focus. The idea, again, one of the ideas is it's the nation is focusing, not necessarily everybody in the nation, but the leadership is, well, we're focusing on this now. Is what some of this is meant to be, but I'm looking. Okay, so if we were to Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact, and then do we have we could establish the Gestapo. We'll probably do that. Balkan dominance, but it's only after war with France, so that we'll do that. I'm looking at what I'm sort of looking for. Do we have the northern and going around Maginot Line type stuff, you know, war with our Benelux countries, national focuses. I'm looking for those. I'm not seeing them. Am I just looking in the wrong place? Or anti-Comintern Pact, war with USSR. Obviously we don't want that right now. Treaty with USSR. 28 days. Panzer Troop and Schul, which is something I think, well, I don't know. Okay, solution for Danzig. Okay, here it is. Okay, just way down here. This is the problem with this is, sorry, is the interface, it gets a bit big and they've changed it. Okay, so solution for Danzig, 7 days. Operation Wasserburg, I don't know. Reassert Western claims. You know, war with France, war with England if they haven't already. Gone to war. Mobilize the Reich. Sweden, Norway. Looking for. Okay. Okay, here's a round manager now. 7 days. This obviously it gets redone once your war jumps past it. Okay. Okay, so that's what we sort of need to do. Solution for Ribbentrop Pact. Boom. Okay, so because it's still a little early for some of that, but it's seeming to be too long for that. We're gonna establish the Gestapo, which existed before Hitler comes to power, but wasn't yet in the SS. Have you seen the new Dev Diaries for? I have not read the last 2 or 3 Dev Diaries, Tippett. Sorry. What would happen if you press claims and stuff? Well, it would affect going along with Italy, where it's over here. Let's see. French Republic, Commonwealth, others. Claims on question of South Tyrol. It would affect what's going on, I think, with Italy. I'm not exactly sure how. Now, Hitler, that was one area that Hitler wanted the German people out of, where normally he wanted the German people there, and then used them as an excuse to go to war over it. Ah, yes, you're right. Limited mobilization. We do have to deal with some of that. We're at partial mobilization now. Early war economy. Early mobilization. We may want to do that. Standing army. Limited mobilization, probably. General mobilization, maybe we'll just jump to that. Yes, because these are important, but they do take up a fair amount of stuff. National policies. Okay, you're talking here, this, yes. Yes, we can. Right, so we will go to that now, because we are getting close. Thanks for the reminder. I do sometimes forget that, Brett. And if you've completely ignored all of those types of things, people, you will, okay, this is who we want to attach these to. somebody over there just to guard that. Position as well. Okay, he just got full up of number of divisions. I can go to there. And I can understand wanting to be at full mobilization before going to war. General mobilization, but right now we can't. We need to be at war to do that. Anti-tank upgrades. Okay. Now we just got. Okay. We need to maybe look at our production. Up. That's still the best. Okay. So we can go that 158 days, 1939. 159 or whatever. Okay. Yeah, I'm always. Yeah, let's. Well. Let's look. Don't know that those are overly helpful to us. Okay, so we're really looking at 1940s, but yeah, we'll go with that instead. Yeah, this is almost done. I think that was the best move. Move us just out of the sort of most of the winter effects. Improved AA, yeah. Okay, formation fighting. Let's look at our models of. We want to go for the better 110s. Just so much I want to do. We haven't even been doing naval stuff. The naval stuff is, compared to other things, are rather unimportant. Yeah, anti-air upgrade. Oh, okay, we've got anti-tank. Do we want to go pack 38, which is a whole nother thing to produce, or 50 days for more soft attack artillery? Anti-air. Well, you know, this is useful, and I'll probably do it at some point, but I don't know that that's as useful as better soft attack for our sort of medium artillery. Not sure how much we have in medium artillery, but a fair amount. Okay, let's look at our equipment. Now, of course, we're going to start burning equipment once we really get into fighting. So I like to have extra stuff. 3,000 extra tanks, artillery, prime movers. Okay, let's throw on an extra infantry division, motorized infantry division. Let's add 2 more standard infantry divisions. Okay, we've established the Gestapo military police, yes. Okay, solution for Danzig, which is what I think will kick off the war. Okay, so let's go with this, for better or for worse. Let's go with it. Now, Brett, who recently played, I think, a slightly newer version of Black Ice, found that he was overwhelmed by, there it is, air power once he went to war with the Western Allies. So I'm looking here, and no, we have no reserves of 109s. So we're going to have to go with these early. Now the HE-51C is, I think, a very good biplane. Now biplanes are outdated by this time, but it's actually a pretty good biplane. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, here's some of our 109s that have been filling these up. Good. Now, what biplanes are really good at, and some of you play things like War Thunder, realize that they're very maneuverable. They just don't have a lot of speed. Okay, now we need to have, I think we need to have a bit more planes available to fight the pulse. Okay. I'm going to put them up over the poles, and we're going to form another, well, not one of the 100 strength, because we're basically out. And these guys, okay. They're going to ground support operations there. We need somebody watching at home. Okay, well, well, we have some of these Czech fighters, it looks like. Yeah, we'll put them all up here. Go after fighters and bombers. We are woefully unprepared. Not that the Germans weren't unprepared as well. But we are definitely unprepared for all of what's going to happen here. So yes, I am dreading the start of the war. You come and watch Eastern Germany. You guys are going over there. You actually move closer to the front. Yeah, all of you guys, how big is the airbase? Oh, we've already reached its capacity. Oh, they've got the capacity, okay. Now, up here. Okay, you're going to... You're also going to naval strike there as well. Okay, really small amounts of aircraft. Get up there. We'll keep things going. Well, sorry if this is overly boring. Close air support. Well, well, we're gonna put them over Denmark just for when we get ready for there. I don't know if they'll be needed before then. Well, yeah, you operate coastally for now. You know, we sent some out there. Now what? Let's see what we can also do. I do think we have some 110s. Yes, okay, so okay, we're gonna put, God, we have way too few of them. You guys come up here and go after aircraft there. You cover that area. What has everybody been saying? Oh, Django's here. Hello, Django. You will lose the air war almost immediately. Yeah, that's what I'm not. Oh, he's probably already left airfare, said I. Hey, Toy Jet. Good to hear that you are. Very good to hear. Very nice of Eric. Toy Jet, very nice. Lugers are nice. They're very nice, very well balanced weapons. Should I make you jealous or not? Is flexing a good thing or a bad thing on the internet? Oh, good you're back. Good to see you, Django. You may have not heard me before. I don't know if I should say this, but probably I will. You're already jealous. Okay. Well, I have a an S-42 Luger. By the serial number, I would date it to being made in 1939. No, 1938. Sorry, 1938, I believe, is, if I remember correctly. So I have an S-42. It's Maker's Code Mark Luger, and I have a DWM, Deutsches Waffen munition, or Deutsches Waffen, or Deutsches Werk munitions, whatever. DWM Luger, by its serial number date, group, made in 1914. So I don't know whether that was made pre-World War I or just after the start of World War I, but it's definitely from World War I, and it is not double dated. It is, so it was a World War I veterans bring back into the USA. So yeah, I have two. What I want to still get is an artillery Luger. Yeah. On the production front. Okay. I just may end up going down very badly here. Should I have started earlier? Yeah, in hindsight, yes, I'm sure of it in production. What I'm reasonably sure is that I shouldn't have, well, obviously it says prototype if you wanted to. I shouldn't have necessarily produced every single model, you know, research, start production, research, start production. No, I should probably have started production with the 37, skip the 38, and then go to the 39 is probably what I should have done with this game and style of doing things. So we will see how bad it is. It's probably really bad. Yes, I've only produced the E. Okay, well, taking advice. I'm very willing to take advice. Okay. Let's look over here. Come up to the top. Okay, well, we're producing more Panzer 1s and Panzer 1s. Okay, maybe I should reduce Panzer 1 production by 1 or 2. Reduce horse artillery. I think I can just do that by 1. Okay, let's do this. We're gonna reduce that horse artillery wagon thingies. Yeah, we'll cut that in half. Okay, so that's 2 more to 109s. Okay, artillery trucks, I think we'll reduce that. Maybe infantry guns. Let's see. Artillery trucks. Yeah, we'll cut production in half. Oh, infantry guns. That's the other thing we were looking at. No, we only have one of those are mountain guns. We're not. Thought we had infantry guns in production. Oh, here. Yeah, okay, we're gonna cut this in half. Okay. Probably overcompensating HQ equipment. Let's see if we can reduce that down. Radios, we'll see about reducing radios as well. If we want to see what our current... Oh, headquarters equipment, I only got one of those already, and I don't... Well, don't know. Okay, whether I should cancel that. Radio equipment, okay, we got lots of radios. So, radio equipment's down here. So we're going to jump all the way down to just 2. That'll free up a bunch of factories. We're going to actually do 1 more. No, 2 more. 110s, because I do want some long-range fighters as well to help with the air war. How are we doing for anti-tank? Because I think that's up. Yeah, I think we'll see about cutting that production in half. Okay, well, not that that's enough, but that's definitely better production levels. Oh, we'll go down to that. If you ask me, you should stop producing coastal artillery. Okay, we'll stop the coastal artillery. Our uses shouldn't be produced. Be right back. Okay. We will cut those down. I'm going with some advice. I'm not sure how. Okay, we'll trash that. And Panzer ones. Well, we'll go down to 1 Panzer 1. Just because we have divisions that we've yet to model up and out on them. Reduce cap equipment, okay. Okay, so, well, we'll increase the 110s production. Okay. Reduce more. Okay, well, let's see. Okay, well, we'll go down to 1 cav. Okay, there we go. And random decisions pop up. Yeah, I think there will be some divisions or decisions, events once we get through, because we hadn't done the medium Panzer III yet, is why some of those haven't upgraded. And so I think we will get some of that going. Okay, well, we're going to end this episode, not the live stream. You there on Twitch, just hang loose. But we're going to end the episode here. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And I really love your comments, so please post them. We learn. I get better. Other viewers get better. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.